Nassau County is in the best financial position than we probably have ever been in. We have been running surpluses for the last 4 years, but I am confident that we are going to have another year where we run a surplus. We have a wonderful, diverse population, great small businesses that drive our economy. We have seen 2 upgrades by the rating agencies that rate our government. We currently have a AA3 by Moody's, AA- by S&P, and A+ by Fitch. So we're in great shape, and we just have to make sure we maintain that.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the GC360 podcast, filmed right here in Garden City, New York Media Studios in downtown Garden City, New York. I'm your host, Katherine O'Connell. According to NewYork.gov, Nassau County is the wealthiest county in New York. With a population of more than 1.3 million residents and an operating budget that exceeds $3 billion, successfully overseeing the accounting tasks and financial reporting of Nassau County is no easy task. However, today's guest, Elaine Phillips, does just that. Back in 2021, Nassau County voters elected Elaine Phillips to be the first woman to serve as Nassau County Comptroller. Elaine is a focused leader who is committed to ensuring that every hard-earned tax dollar that comes from residents is spent properly and that the county government operates efficiently, ethically, and with transparency. As Comptroller, she sees herself as the independent protector of the taxpayers of Nassau County. Welcome to the studio, Comptroller Phillips. Thank you so much for joining us on the GC360 podcast.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you for having me. Thank you, GC360. So I'm looking forward to talking to you today.
Me too. Thank you so much. So can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in Nassau County?
Sure, I'd love to. So first, I'm going to kind of repeat a couple of the statistics that you mentioned because so many people don't know this. So we have, as you mentioned, almost 1.4 million people that live here in Nassau County, and it's actually, we're larger than 10 states in the United States. How do you like that? And with our GDP and a budget of now almost $4 billion, actually it's a little over $4 billion, we're larger than 140 countries in the United Nations. But I think what makes Nassau County so unique is we celebrate every religion, we celebrate every race, ethnicity, and we have the best hospitals, some of the best hospitals in the world here, the best shopping, the best beaches, the best restaurants, and we do it and everyone comes together. We have over 45,000 small businesses that drive our economy, and as we define small businesses, are 50 employees or less. And I believe you spoke to Jay McLaughlin today.
Yes.
And Jay McLaughlin just came into Garden City, which is how I met John Paul and why I'm here. But that's exactly the type of business that we want here in Nassau County. So where are we financially? Nassau County is in the best financial position than we probably have ever been in. We have been running surpluses for the last 4 years, and as the Comptroller, I don't want to talk about 2023, the year we just ended financials officially because they're not independently audited yet, but I'm confident that we are going to have another year where we run a surplus. So we're in great financial condition. We have a wonderful, diverse population, great small businesses that drive our economy. So Nassau County is in a great spot. We have seen 2 upgrades by the rating agencies that rate our government. So these are our bondholders that say, how is Nassau County doing? So both Moody's, S&P, and Fitch have raised our ratings. We currently have a AA3 by Moody's, AA- by S&P, and A+ by Fitch. This was unheard of 10 years ago, unheard of in Nassau County. And then one more statistic. New York State, the Comptroller's Office, does a fiscal stress test. Last year, we got a 0, which means zero financial stress, a perfect score. So we're in great shape, and we just have to make sure we maintain that.
I hope you're enjoying tonight's GC360 podcast Facebook Live. Your opinions matter to us. We want to hear from you. Make sure you subscribe to the GC360 podcast. Like, share, and comment about tonight's episode in the chat below. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. So can you describe the role of the Nassau County Comptroller, and what does the Nassau County Comptroller do?
It's a great question. And honestly, a question 3 years ago, I'm not sure I could have answered. So first, it's comptroller, which is interesting because in the private sector world, it's controller, C-O-N-T. But in government, we have to be a little different. It's C-O-M-P. Why? I don't know. So what the areas that report to me in the controller's office, first, our claims division. So we independently audit every vendor claim that goes out, that gets paid for. That's 140,000 claims that we review every year for over 10,000 vendors. And as everybody, any business owner, any private individual has been dealing with, cybercrime is a big deal. So we have instituted in the last 2 years various procedures to make sure, at least try to vet multi-factor verification, a bank service called AVS. So we're really trying to make sure that Nassau County never gets hacked. The other thing we've done in our claims division is we've really made it more efficient. When you introduced me, you talked about my job to make sure that we maintain a government and make our government more efficient. When people talk about government, government, it's slow. Not Nassau County anymore. We have taken our claims from the day they hit our office. It's 6 days to the time, on average, someone gets paid. That was over 20 days 3 years ago. So we've made great improvements to our claims division. Another area is payroll and benefits. So we run 4 payrolls every 2 weeks. Our benefits division oversees the benefits for all of our employees, 8,000 employees, plus, all the retirees of 12,000, plus all their dependents. So we say we cover about 50,000 lives out of the benefits division. Obviously from an accounting division, we close the books for Nassau County. So our financials are not official until we publish the final accounting. And last, we have an audit division, a field audit division. So I have the authority to audit anyone that transacts business with Nassau County, but also if I'm asked to by a local government. So recently, the town of North Hempstead asked us to go in and audit their building department. We've done that. We looked at the reassessment that was done in Nassau County several years ago. We have looked at our consumer affairs division, hotel motels, cash receipts. So I encourage everyone to go on to the Nassau County Comptroller's website and look at the audits that we did, because I've changed the way we audit. I'm really not an I gotcha person. So the way we audit now is we definitely point out any inconsistencies, irregularities, but we also point out and give suggestions on best practices. How can things be done better? So I'm honored.
That's great. So can you tell us about some of the accomplishments of your office?
So I mentioned a few. It was probably what the vendors, what the businesses that transact with Nassau County the happiest with is taking this time to get paid from over 20 days down to 6 days. That was a huge accomplishment. Another thing, believe it or not, Nassau County, each department within Nassau County had cash drawers. Well, I don't know about you, but when I'm with my daughters who are women now, and I pay for something with cash, they look at me like, Mom, you've got cash? Nobody pays with cash. So we literally have cash drawers still. And needless to say, we need to bring that into the 21st century. So we'll be issuing one of the initiatives is giving it's called a P card. It's not a credit card. It's not a debit card. It's a card that they can use for small claims. Probably the major initiative is something that we're calling Nassau Forward. And Nassau County, with a $4 billion budget, is working off of a financial system that was put into place in 1999. I'm going to repeat that, 1999. So anybody that runs a business knows that financial systems have changed dramatically over the last 25 years. And needless to say, what's happened is we've become very dependent on Excel files. And a government of our size should not be running on Excel files. So we did an RFP, a request for proposal. There's a selection committee. I am not privy to the organizations that they're speaking to, but obviously these are major organizations. I don't even want to use a name. I chair, along with the county executive, the steering committee, and probably in June of this year, the selection committee, after an extensive interview process, speaking to references, asking for best and final offers. This is like 65 people, subject matter experts in Nassau County, have been involved with this. They'll make a proposal to the steering committee, and we will select the vendor. And hopefully by January of next year, we will start the implementation process. So I kind of view it as it's going to be my legacy to Nassau County.
I hope you're enjoying tonight's GC360 podcast Facebook Live. Your opinions matter to us. We want to hear from you. Make sure you subscribe to the GC360 podcast. Like, share, and comment about tonight's episode in the chat below. So, why is Nassau County still in a control period with the Nassau Interim Finance Authority?
So I'm glad you asked. I'm really glad you asked. And the answer is Nassau County should not be in a control period. So let me tell the listeners what it means to be in control. So New York State selects a group of qualified individuals, but private individuals. These are not elected individuals to be on this NIFA board. So every decision that the administration, the county executive, and all his deputies and commissioners who are extremely knowledgeable, every decision they make, and then every decision that our county legislature makes, which are again voted by the people, still has to be approved by this control board. Now, when the control board was put in place, Nassau County was in a totally different financial condition. There was a reason why the governor at the time put Nassau County under control. And there are 5 individual criteria that Nassau County has not, we don't fall into any of that criteria and haven't for several years now. Now, NIFA will stay in an oversight position because during the last administration, they issued debt under the NIFA name to get a AAA rating. And that made sense. It made a lot of sense. So it's okay to be an oversight. But given our financial condition, as I mentioned, high likelihood that this will be the 5th year that we will be running a surplus. I appeal to the governor of New York. Nassau County is in a better fiscal position than many other governments, local governments, county governments in New York State. It's time for NYFA to take Nassau County out of control.
Gotcha.
Thank
you
you.
for sharing.
Thank you for asking me that, too, because I get passionate about that. If I felt Nassau County deserved, if I felt we had elected officials that weren't doing the job that they were elected to do, I would say, you know what? It's good to have a third party. But this third party was not elected. The county executive was elected. I was elected. The county legislature was elected. Let us do our job.
Absolutely. So what do you think is financially coming up next for Nassau County?
Right. So our county executive, Bruce Blakeman, says a term when he's talking. He says, Nassau County is open for business. And we truly are open for business. Most people don't realize of this roughly $4 billion budget, only 23% of our budget comes from property taxes. So this budget is not being driven by property taxes. It's really being driven by sales tax. 44% of our $4 billion budget comes from sales tax. So we tell businesses, when you do well, Nassau County does well. When small businesses, medium-sized businesses, large businesses in Nassau County do well, it's the less likelihood that we need to raise taxes. So as the county executive says, we're open for business. As an example, we are going to be the first time that the United States has hosted these T20 cricket games. Now, I'll admit, I was not that knowledgeable about cricket. Do you know anything about cricket?
I know the bat is flat.
Yeah,
that's about
the bat is flat. And in some form of cricket games, the games can go on for days. But in T20 games, it's 20 balls, and the games are roughly 3 hours, I'm being told. So Nassau County is one of 3 places in the United States that are going to host these games. And probably more importantly, we are going to host the game, the India versus Pakistan game, which will be watched by millions, hundreds of millions of people. Cricket is the second most watched sport in the world. Soccer, football in other countries. So for 10 days in June, Eisenhower Park, we already, if you drive by Eisenhower Park, you can see it. There's temporary stands. And this is at no cost. Not one tax dollar is being used to build the stands, to tear down the stands, for anything. And for those people that can't get tickets, we're going to have viewing areas throughout Nassau County that will have food trucks and entertainment, so there'll be an opportunity for everyone. I believe also the county executive is working with NYU to possibly put in either a ambulatory center or medical school over on Nassau Community College. We're welcoming businesses, as we mentioned, Jay McLaughlin. So we're really trying to, the Ryder Cup is coming to Bethpage in 2025. So we're speaking to the LPGA to bring women's golf here. They used to come here all the time in Eisenhower Park. So we're really open for business. We are doing everything we can. We're talking about medical tourism. We have the Catholic charity, the Catholic system here with St. Francis Hospital. When I was a mayor, was in my Mercy Hospital. We have NYU Winthrop. We have NYU. We have Northwell, Cohen's. We have some of the best hospital facilities, the best medical. So why not be a medical destination? So these are the things we're talking about.
I hope you're enjoying tonight's GC360 podcast Facebook Live. Your opinions matter to us. We want to hear from you. Make sure you subscribe to the GC360 podcast. Like, share, and comment about tonight's episode in the chat below. What advice do you have for taxpayers in Nassau County?
So it's never easy. I want to say, as controller, I don't tax you. I just make sure that your taxes are being used the way that the administration and the legislature says that they should be used. I will say we did an analysis, my summer interns, and we looked at when you pay taxes, how much of your taxes go where? About 20% of your taxes go to Nassau County. So if you pay $10,000 in taxes, about $2,000 come to Nassau County. Another 20% goes to your town, or if you're in a village or your special districts, it really is your school district. That's somewhere between 60 to 65% of your taxes that you pay. So I would say to the taxpayers, one, stay engaged. Vote. Go and vote for those school board elections. Go and vote for those village elections. Go and vote for those town elections. And please come out for those county elections because, we impact the affordability of living here. And again, I'll say why it's so important for us to make sure businesses survive here in Nassau County, because the more tax dollars we get in, the less we have to tax people on a property tax that come to the county. I'll tell you something else, too, that we're doing. A lot of times we're asked, they'll say, Elaine, so $4 billion budget, that's big, right? So where does that money go? What are we or our sales tax or our departmental revenue or state and federal aid, all those revenues that are coming into Nassau County, where do they go? So we're at the beginning and we're going to publish a report that we'll put in, hopefully all the local newspapers will run it. But if you come to my website and you sign up for our newsletter, it's a great newsletter. It's a short newsletter, but I need you to go to Nassau County Comptroller. You'll see a picture of me right underneath. It'll show you how to sign up for the newsletter. And this piece will be coming probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So approximately 32% of this $4 billion goes for law enforcement and safety. So that's our police, that's our fire marshals, that's our jail, that's our sheriff system. Another 23% goes for health and social services. So I'm a believer that, when you pay taxes, it means you're making money. And one of government's roles is really to provide a safety net. So some of that 23% really goes for safety net, early intervention, homelessness, shelters, that safety net for those individuals that need our help. Another part of that 23% is for our health department. They go and they inspect restaurants, businesses. During COVID, they were very involved in help guiding people what works, what doesn't work. 14% goes to public works. That's our sewers, our roads, the infrastructure. Another 11% goes to our debt service, 10% for our court system. That's our district attorneys, county attorneys, anything that deals with legal. And then the last 10%, we're calling government, but it's not really administration. It's our IT, it's our assessment department, it's the controller's department, it's the county clerk's department. It's where you get your licenses if you're a landscaper. It is a small portion, the administration, And as a board member of a couple nonprofits, having that administrative part, that government part, which this category is even broader, 10% or less, is really a good sign that we're keeping the administration of the government at a small percentage.
Thank you so much, Elaine, for that. That was very informative. I think I have a better idea of where my tax dollars are going. So thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, it must be a huge responsibility to be the controller. I mean, all of these people, $4 billion, that's a huge responsibility. So thank you so much for all that you're doing for this community.
Thank you, Catherine. And I just want to say to the listeners out there, I'm truly honored to work on your behalf as a public servant. So thank you. For those that do go out and vote, thank you. Keep going out and voting. If anyone has any questions, please go on to our social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all of those, and look us up and stay informed. So, Catherine, thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much for joining us. You've been a fantastic guest. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the GC 360 podcast. I'm your host, Katherine O'Connell. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.